There is a room, deep inside your inner house, where a mirror hangs. You never go in. When you pass by, you turn your face away. When someone mentions that room, you change the subject. You can't quite explain why. You just know that inside that mirror, there is something you do not want to see. And that, throughout your entire life, you have developed a fine, almost artistic skill of keeping that door closed, without even needing to think about it. Friedrich Nietzsche had a line that still cuts through anyone who reads it today. He said, in essence, that sometimes the truth kills us, and that is why the human being needs error in order to live. For Nietzsche, lying to yourself was not a rare flaw, peculiar to cowards or hypocrites. It was the default operating system of human consciousness. Almost all of us, almost all of the time, are running, behind the scenes, a silent program with one single task: to spare us from what would hurt too much to know. And before you feel attacked, I need to say something with the greatest clarity possible, because this topic is heavy and cannot be distorted. This video is not a manifesto for suffering. It is not a proposal that you start distrusting everything inside yourself, or declaring that every one of your feelings is a fraud. It is not that. There are inside you truths, affections, choices that are genuinely yours, and none of that is in question here. What Nietzsche points at, and what we are going to look at head-on in this video, are the dark zones. That room deep inside your inner house, where the mirror you never face is kept. His proposal is not to torture you. It is to offer you, with the greatest adult seriousness, the chance to pick up the lantern and walk in, to look at what is inside. Not because it is beautiful or inspiring, or because it will make you happy tomorrow, but because, on the other side of this crossing, there is a form of life you do not yet know, and that is the only one that truly deserves to be called yours. If you have the courage to take this walk, stay. Nietzsche has 7 truths about self-deception. They will hurt, but if you bear them, you will not be weaker at the end. You will be, for the first time, in contact with what is real. First truth. The truth hurts. And that's why you've been fleeing it your whole life. Start by recognizing the obvious that no one wants to admit. The truth hurts. It is not a metaphor. It is not literary exaggeration. It is a basic experience of consciousness. When someone tells you a hard truth about yourself, something inside your chest tightens before you even think of any argument. The body reacts. The defense rises. The mind is already producing reasons for that not to be true. That is not weakness. It is the normal functioning of the human organism. Nietzsche's great discovery is that, because of that pain, we spend an entire lifetime training an almost imperceptible skill, that of deflecting the truth before it arrives. Even before the truth is spoken by anyone, your mind has already rearranged the facts. Even before you see a scene, you have already interpreted it in a way that spares you. Even before memory rises to the surface, it has been silenced down in the basement. All of this happens without your noticing. It is automatic, and it is as efficient as a machine. Think of how many people you know, in your family, at work, among your friends, who live surrounded by clear evidence about something in their lives, and yet manage, year after year, to not see it. It's not stupidity, it's protection. And now ask yourself with brutal honesty, what if I do that too? What if there are, in my life, about me, things that everyone around me sees, and I am the only person in the world who still cannot see them? The first truth is unsettling. Your mind is not a neutral observer of reality. It is a defense lawyer, hired by you since childhood, specialized in protecting you from what you don't want to see. And this lawyer works 24 hours a day, free of charge. To you watching, if this first truth made something stir deep inside, if you felt that tightening before any argument, write one single word in the comments: mirror. Whoever writes it is beginning to turn the doorknob of that room. Second truth. Your justifications are the most sophisticated crutches there are. Notice something almost everyone does, but almost no one perceives. For every single thing you don't do, but know you should, you have a justification ready. For every single thing you do, but know you shouldn't, you have another one. For every bad relationship you keep, there is a reason. For every postponed project, there is a circumstance. For every small lie you tell someone dear, there is a noble motive. You are never without an excuse. Your mind is a permanent factory of explanations. Nietzsche noticed that those justifications are not honest reasonings made before the action. They arrive afterward. First you feel the impulse, you do or you fail to do, and only then does the mind step in and build the argument that makes that look reasonable, inevitable, or even admirable. Rationalization is one of the most sophisticated technologies of the human spirit. It turns cowardice into prudence, laziness into wisdom, pettiness into realism, mediocrity into maturity. And the worst part, you believe it. You're not pretending. When you tell yourself that you didn't try that because it wasn't the right time, or that you didn't say that because it would have hurt someone, or that you didn't make that choice because you had responsibilities, you feel, inside, that you are being honest. And maybe you are, in part. But beneath that layer of visible honesty, there is usually another, deeper one that you have never gone to look at. The naked, embarrassing, simple truth that you are dressing up behind the elegant argument. The second truth is uncomfortable. Learn to distrust your own justifications, especially the most elegant and well-articulated ones. The most sophisticated ones usually hide the most. It does not mean every explanation of yours is a lie. It means it's worth asking, every now and then, what if I take that intelligent crutch away? What do I see of myself without it? Third truth. You did not forget. You decided not to remember. Here, Nietzsche makes an observation that is almost a punch. He said, paraphrasing one of his central ideas, that when memory says, "I did this," and pride answers, "That is impossible, I could not have done that," in the end, memory yields, and you forget. You don't forget by accident. You forget because remembering would cost too much. Think about the things you have done throughout your life that you are not proud of. Those small acts of cowardice, silent betrayals, cruel words you threw out at the wrong moment, choices for which you know deep in your chest that you hurt someone or diminished yourself. Most of those things your mind has archived in folders of difficult access. You would need a huge effort to bring them all back to consciousness in order with clarity. And even when one of them surfaces without warning, you feel a sharp discomfort, and the mind quickly redirects to another thought. This isn't a memory failure. It is a form of management. There is a selection being made all the time about what deserves to remain available and what needs to be pushed into the basement. And the criterion for that selection is not the importance of the facts. It is how much they threaten the image you need to have of yourself in order to keep being who you are. The truths that reinforce your self-image are illuminated. The ones that threaten it are turned off. The third truth is hard. Much of what you say you don't remember, you do. You just decided on some level that this cannot be accessible. To recognize this does not mean punishing yourself for the past. It means opening the possibility of, finally, looking at some of these memories with the eyes of the adult you have become, instead of continuing to pretend they don't exist. Fourth truth. The blame you throw on others, you chose to carry. There is an escape strategy so common that it almost goes unseen. It works like this. Every time something goes wrong in your life, the first thing your mind does is look for someone to blame. And almost never, at first instance, is that person you. It's your boss who doesn't see your worth. It's your family that limited you. It's the country that gives no chance. It's your partner who changed. It's the luck that didn't come. It's the era you were born in. There is always someone. There is always something. And you spend years, sometimes decades, feeding a narrative in which the life you didn't build is the fault of everything, except your choice not to build it. Nietzsche saw this mechanism as one of the most cunning forms of self-deception. Not because the world is fair, or because real external factors do not exist. They do. But because behind every accusation directed outward, there is usually a choice of yours that you don't want to face. You chose to stay in that job. You chose not to have the hard conversation. You chose to postpone the decision. You chose to believe in the justifications. You chose not to try. And each of those choices added to the others, built stone by stone, the life you now blame on others. I'm not saying you are guilty of everything bad that happened to you. There are pains that come from outside, without warning, without reason. But I am saying, with Nietzsche, that there is a far larger amount than you would like to admit of things you attribute to others, and that, if you look carefully, were yours. They were your choices. They were your omissions. They were your silences. The fourth truth is bitter. The most transformative exercise there is consists of, in front of every complaint of yours about the world, asking, and what did I do or fail to do for this to have become my reality? Not to sink into guilt, but to take the power out of others' hands and return it to yours. Because from the day you admit you chose, the possibility of choosing differently is born. Fifth truth. That dream you postponed, you never wanted to fulfill. Here is a truth that hurts particularly. Almost everyone carries an old dream, something they tell themselves since forever. One day I will. One day I'll write that book. One day I'll open that business. One day I'll learn that instrument. One day I'll travel to that place. One day I'll ask for that divorce. One day I'll begin that life. And the one day stretches out, year after year, always present, always postponed, always due to circumstances that never end. The American myth of someday is more dangerous than the European myth of never, because it dresses up the avoidance as a plan. Nietzsche would ask the cruel question, what if you never actually wanted it? What if what you call a dream were, in truth, a fantasy that has a very specific function in your psychic life, that of giving you an identity of a person who could, without forcing you to face the real cost of trying? Think carefully. As long as the dream is postponed, you are the person who has that dream. You feel on some level better than others who don't have one. You imagine how it would be, and that gives you a certain pleasure. And at the same time, you never have to face the fear of trying and failing, nor the discomfort of finding out, perhaps, that it was harder than it seemed, or that you weren't as capable as you imagined, or that, upon achieving it, you would discover it wasn't quite what you wanted. The postponed dream offers all the benefits of identity with none of the risks of action. The fifth truth is sharp. Many of the dreams that seem postponed by force of circumstance are in truth preserved intact by your silent choice never to come close to them. If you want to know what you really want, don't look at what you say you want. Look at what you have done. Your actions of the last 10 years tell you, with more honesty than any of your speeches, what you have actually chosen to want. Sixth truth. The truth does not free you on first meeting. It breaks you. There is a modern myth, often repeated in pretty phrases, according to which the truth sets you free automatically. You find the truth, and instantly you become light, free, happy. Nietzsche, who knew the truth up close, laughed at that myth. He knew that the truth, before anything else, hurts, and breaks, and disorganizes. And only after that, if the person bears what comes, is there the possibility that something new is born. When you finally recognize, after years, that that relationship was over a long time ago, you are not happy the next instant. You are devastated, because now you have to face everything that comes with that admission. When you recognize, after a lifetime, that you chose the wrong career out of social cowardice, you don't celebrate. You feel the crushing weight of years invested on the wrong path. When you recognize that that person you idealized and who structured part of your identity was cruel to you, you don't feel free. You feel that part of the ground has disappeared. The truth, before liberating, destroys the system of lies that was sustaining you. And that system, although false, was functional, was your home. To leave it means, for a while, to be without a home. That's why most people, when they get close to the truth, back away. Not because they are weak, because deep down they sense the size of the collapse. The sixth truth is the most important of all. The truth is going to cost you dearly before giving you anything in return. Knowing this in advance prepares you not to flee at the exact moment when it arrives. Bearing the break is the narrow gate through which real life begins to enter. Seventh and final truth. To bear the truth is the highest form of strength. Nietzsche had a very specific vision of what the true strength of the human spirit was. It was not physical strength. It was not brilliant intelligence. It was not even visible success. It was the rare and silent capacity to bear the truth without looking away. The more truth a person could carry without collapsing, the more strength they had, and the more they needed the comfort of the lie, the more fragile they were, no matter how strong they appeared from the outside. Look around. The people who impress you most, at the core, are not the most beautiful nor the most successful. They are the ones who seem to have a certain weight in themselves, a certain solidity, a certain serenity that is not forced. And if you pay attention, you'll notice that those people have one thing in common. They don't flee from the truth. They have accepted their own limits, past failures, inevitable losses, the fact of aging, the fact of dying one day, the fact of not being able to have everything. And it is precisely that acceptance that gives them the weight and the peace you admire without knowing how to explain. The seventh truth is the final invitation. Real adult life is not the comfortable life. It is the lucid life. And lucidity is a form of courage, perhaps the highest. It is not the courage of the hero who faces the dragon outside. It is the silent courage, with no audience, of facing the dragon inside and staring at it until it stops trembling. We have reached the end of our journey. 7 truths from Nietzsche about self-deception. Let's recap, because each of them deserves to stay with you. First, the truth hurts, and that's why you've been fleeing it your whole life without even noticing. Second, your justifications are the most sophisticated crutches there are, especially the most elegant ones. Third, you did not forget. You decided not to remember, and there is an abyssal difference between the two. Fourth, the blame you throw on others you chose to carry, and taking the blame off the outside returns the power inside. Fifth, that dream you postponed you never wanted to fulfill, and one day is the most elegant form of never. Sixth, the truth does not free you on first meeting. It breaks you first, and that break is the narrow gate through which real life enters. Seventh, bearing the truth is the highest form of strength a human being can develop, and I emphasize it because it is essential. None of this is a manifesto for suffering, nor a proposal that you distrust every good feeling you have. There are inside you truths, affections, joys, virtues that are real and deserve to be celebrated. But there are also, alongside them, dark zones. And the work of the adult spirit is not to treat those zones as enemies to be ignored, but as territories to be explored, with the lantern, with patience, and with the silent courage not to look away when what appears is not pleasant. Nietzsche did not call us liars to crush us. He called us liars because he believed there is a life on the other side of the lie, and that life is worth the crossing. A life in which your joys are yours because examined, in which your affections have weight because chosen, in which your decisions are really yours because made with open eyes. That is the life he wanted you to finally dare to live. If this video touched something deep inside you, good. The discomfort is the beginning of the crossing. Write in the comments, what lie have you been telling yourself for so long that you've confused it with the truth? It doesn't have to be the worst one. It can be a small one, from the everyday, one of those that you know, deep down, isn't quite that way. Be honest. I will be reading every single one. If this video made you look inside in a new way, drop your like. That tells the algorithm there are still people willing to do this hard work instead of only seeking content that confirms what they already want to hear. Subscribe to this channel. It is not for those who seek easy comfort. It is for those who are ready for the crossing. Next week, we will return together to the abyss, to dissect another hidden mechanism of the human soul. Until then, remember one thing. The strongest person is not the one who seems never to doubt themselves. It is the one who can doubt themselves with calm, without collapsing. That person, very rare, is what Nietzsche wanted you to become. Go, and start today to open the door of that room. You don't need to go all the way in at once. Start with the doorknob